Welcome back to the DFS Sweatshop. I am your host, the DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me, of course, on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. Yo, I'm here live with the homie K Sizzle 7. Real cool cat, man. A member of the DFS Sweatshop. Offers a lot of expertise in the way of CFL and what's going to be going on there. I'm going to go ahead and open up his Twitter link so that if you want to follow him, he's going to be tweeting a lot about CFL this season. I'm going to open it up so that you can adjust yourself and know what his going to be. It's KC at K Sizzle Twitter for all of you, and take a look at his account, man. He's going to be tweeting a lot throughout the season. Big homie, it is a pleasure to have you in the spot, chopping up some CFL, man. How are you doing tonight?
Hey man, I'm at work trying to get it how I live. So if the phone rings, I gotta answer because that's part of my job. But other than that, bro, let's get on this CFL, man. I've been amped for CFL. I'm ready for football. It's the closest thing I can get to it. MLB doing me dirty, so let's get on this CFL.
All right, okay. Well, and real quick, man, because we had a chance to chop it up before the show, and what you did was you talked with me a lot about differences between NFL and the CFL and how you can work to knowing those differences and how to make that work to your benefit in CFL before NFL starts. Talk about that just a little bit.
Now, there's little differences, subtle differences, like the field is different. The field is 10 yards longer than the NFL, so the end zone is deeper and it's wider than the NFL. That's subtle, but also there's subtle rules. Like in the NFL, they have that 1 yard cushion for wide receiver DB. Well, in the CFL, it's almost like 4 yards, so you got a bigger cushion. In the NFL, one person can kind of motion at a time. Then even then, before the ball goes and then they go. But in the CFL, you got hope for get past interference. He won't get it, and then the coaches throw out the red flag, want the referee to look at the replay to get pass interference, and then sometimes they'll get it then. So you'll see like little gamesmanship like that come into play with CFL. The difference between CFL and NFL, those to me are the biggest differences. Is the size of the field and the rules.
Now, for a guy like me who is, I consider myself an experienced DFS player, but sort of a newbie to CFL. I played a couple of games last season, and then once the NFL got started, I kind of threw it off to the side. I really didn't pay attention to it as much as I should have. But one thing that I did notice in what you were saying is it's more of an offensive game, and you talk about offensive game. Where running backs, like how important are running backs? How less important are running backs? Talk about that just a little bit so we can get a good understanding.
Now, in reference to rules, another big rule is that in the NFL, you got 4 downs to get 10 yards. In the CFL, you got 3. And because you only got 3, you don't get 2 running plays consecutive. You usually get 1 running play and the other 2 passing plays. And if they don't get it, they punting. They don't punt. They definitely going to do what they call a rouge. A rouge is when they kick a field goal or try to kick a field goal. If they miss it, they still get 1 point if the defense don't do anything. It's weird. Trust me, it's little weird gamesmanship like that that's different than CFL. In reference to running backs, you want a running back that's heavily involved in the passing game, in my opinion, because that means in NFL, they run a minimum of 20 running plays. In the CFL, they run a maximum of 20 running plays. Right. So, because you only got down, like, don't lean too heavy on your running backs creating lineups because they will disappoint you if they're not, or if they split in carries, they'll disappoint you. And the worst thing you want to do is split carries, because imagine if you got, perfect example. If you ever dealt with the Saints backfield with Darren Sproles and that's what you're dealing with every CFL team. You got your pass catcher running back, you got your actual running back. It can get confusing, it can get crazy. I personally like to attack running backs that are heavily involved either in the kicking game, and they're returning punts, returning kicks, or heavily involved in the passing game. And we'll talk about that as we go from game to game. But we can start out with this first game with Saskatchewan and Montreal. This is the big hype. The reason why this game is the big hype is because Durant, who played with Saskatchewan last year, who's now playing for Montreal, is now playing against his former team. So you got this big, huge revenge narrative. Huge revenge narrative with Durant.
So week one, we got a revenge narrative. Darian Durant. This is the big homie from here where I'm at in Florence, South Carolina. Guy went to North Carolina. He's an older guy, I think, right? He's in the twilight phase of his career, about 30, 35, 36.
35, 36, something like that.
Okay.
And the guy on the other side of the ball is even older than him. So that's why when I saw that Saskatchewan just basically downgraded at quarterback, I'm like, they might as well have kept Durant.
Right. So give us a look at this game specifically. What are some things you're seeing? What are some ways you're leaning? What should we be looking for in this game in terms of the point totals and how it can work from a game flow standpoint?
Now, in this game, right now, the over-under is 49.5, which is the lowest of the week. So Vegas don't anticipate this being a high-scoring affair at all, which I understand. And the reason why is because Saskatchewan, which is in this case it's SSK, they revamped both sides of the ball, both offense and defense. That's how sorry they was. They're still in the process of revamping their defensive side of the ball. So all season, I'm attacking Saskatchewan with offensive players from the other side. So in this case, I like Durant from Montreal, and you stack Montreal. So I like Durant. I like Sutton, which is the running back from Montreal. I like Jackson. Jackson is the big offseason acquisition that Montreal did this offseason. Jackson comes over from Ottawa. Last year he led the team in touchdown receptions, and he's fast. He's definitely fast. He's a good guy. He had 10 touchdown receptions last year with Ottawa. He comes over to Montreal. Two other players to look out for on Montreal is Jay Cunningham.
Okay. Now something you said struck a nerve with me because I'm an avid NFL player. When you said Saskatchewan is going to be one of the worst defenses, I instantly brought to mind how in NFL, if you can find out who are going to be the Saints, every week, if you can find out who's going to be like the worst defense in the league, Saint-style bad defense, then you've got an offense that you can rock with. So is that what we're looking at? Is that a good correlation? Like Saskatchewan can be the Saints of the CFL?
Even worse than that, I would say the Saskatchewan is more like the Browns of the NFL, meaning that not only do you attack them.
Now, in terms of scoring points, because a lot of us, man, I'm telling you, you are opening the door to a lot of people that have never played DFS. This is going to be shown on the Sweatshop YouTube page for over 4,000 people. Hopefully, all of them go and follow you and give you a listen. But the question I do have is, in terms of scoring points, like how does receptions and yards?
In DFS wise, it's pretty much the same. Meaning that you still get your, you get scoring for yards, scoring for receptions, scoring for touchdowns. So the scoring is pretty the same. The difference, though, is that your return yards count more. So when picking your running backs, if you don't want to pay up for running back, if you don't want to pay up for running backs, or if you don't want to pay up for high price, look for running backs or receivers that's heavily involved in the kicking game, because that right there is where you will also be able to make your money in reference to scoring wise, because you still get the points for touchdowns, you still get the points for return yards, and then if they're involved in the running game, you get those running yards. If they're involved in the passing games, you get reception. That's why I personally like, which we'll get to in a minute, is Chris Rainey, because he's over the field. He's all over the field for BC. Him and Banks from Hamilton. Those two are my two favorite players because they're in the punting game, in the kick return game, and on the offensive side of the ball. They are heavily involved in on every aspect.
Good stuff, man. Good. Now, looking at the other side of the ball, we talked about the Alouettes. Let's take a look at Saskatchewan. Is there any interest you have in any guys on this roster? I know if you're stacking, let's say if we're stacking the Alouettes and they go out and they score a ton of points, well, Saskatchewan is going to want to score in some way. So can we look at anybody in their receiving game?
Actually, yes, because what I did do is I did make specifically, I posted the thread in the sweatshop, and somebody asked me about Glenn. And so when they asked me about Glenn, I went ahead and made a quick lineup to see, okay, if I was to play Glenn, how would my Glenn lineup look? Well, first and foremost, must have Roosevelt with him, and it must have Carter with him. Roosevelt is the leading reception from last year. He got hurt late in the season, so he's coming back. So Roosevelt, without a doubt, he plays what they call the slot back, which is in NFL. This is the regular wide receiver that plays the slot. Well, in CFL, that is a position called the slot back. You'll see him like bag up maybe like 5-6 yards from the line of scrimmage. He'll get a running start. And then they'll hike the ball as soon as he gets to the line of scrimmage. Those are your slot backs. So Roosevelt plays slot back. On DraftKings, they have him listed as wide receiver. DraftKings has all. If you don't play running back, you play wide receiver according to DraftKings. But it ain't. In Canadian football, you got your wide receivers, which are split out wide, and then you have your slot backs, which are right there in the slot, that play the slot position in the NFL. You also have a fullback. You got your kick returner, punt returners. So you still got. There's 12 people on the field for both teams, not 11.
Okay.
So there's 12 people on the field, not 11. So those are subtle differences. If I was to stack Saskatchewan, I would use Glenn, I would use Roosevelt, and I would use Carter. No hesitation. You got your top quarterback, and you got your top two, who I believe will be the top two receivers. As a third option, possibly Collins. Collins is the kick returner, punt returner for Saskatchewan, and he also plays the slot back. So that's probably right now. They just came out with their lineup. The starting running back for Saskatchewan is Marshall. I don't know nothing about Marshall. When I watched in the preseason, he ain't really do nothing to impress me. But that don't mean you don't play him. I'm just letting you know what I saw.
Right. Well, hey, good stuff, man. Let's go ahead and move on to the next game. Who do you got next on tap?
That's the just a second. Calgary against Ottawa. Right now, the over/under is 55.5. They play Friday. Yeah, they play a little bit, but they're still a threat. Ottawa is still a threat. I personally think Calgary is going to win the game. Right now, they are 4-point favorites in a 55.5 game. 55.5 is the second highest total of the whole weekend.
Right.
On the Calgary side of the ball, Calgary got the better of the defenses. Calgary with the number one against the run, top 3 in points allowed. Least amount of points allowed. Calgary is a formidable team from top to bottom. What makes it even more dangerous is they're not even fully healthy yet. Once they get fully healthy, they will be even more dangerous. If you was to stack the Calgary side, you got to start from the top. Bo Levi Mitchell. He is what the equivalent of MVP. They call it the MOP, which is the most outstanding player. He's the reigning MVP or MOP, depending on how you want to look at it.
35 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. That's nuts.
Bro, you ain't even looking at it right. Add in those rushing touchdowns too. That's the thing about the CFL, about their quarterbacks, is they have no problem running them. They don't baby them like in the NFL. Total touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Now he was splitting with the now retired what's this guy's name? Oh, I can't think of his name now, but he retired. He was splitting carries with him. But now this is his team. This is his team all the way. Even last year in part-time duty, he had 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. So he's a threat. He's a true threat. With Harris, if you're going to play with Harris, I would stack him with Ellingson and Sanofi.
Okay.
Those are the 2 slot backs for them. As I mentioned, Ottawa had players retire, and then their wide receivers got gutted. I told you one of them went to Montreal, and the other one went to BC, who we'll talk about in the second short from British Columbia. We'll talk about them, but Ottawa middle. About their like 19 in the league.
Right.
There's only 9 teams, and so if you rank for number 5, you're in the middle of the pack. It sounds like you're in the top, but technically you're in the middle. Ottawa, I like their quarterback Harris. I really like their quarterback. I also like Ellingson and Sanofi. Ellingson and Sanofi are incoming wide receivers, so I think he's going to have a good rapport with them. The new receivers that replace Jackson and Williams is Spencer and Shaw. Spencer and Shaw both come from Toronto. So that's why Toronto was like in revamp mode, because they lost their receiving core. Both of them went to Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a couple of preseason games with Ottawa. Matter of fact, I watched a lot of stuff on YouTube. You can go right now and watch the preseason games of Ottawa on YouTube. They got them listed. You can watch last year's Grey Cup too if you want to, but to get an idea of how crazy the game is. But anyway, with Ottawa, I like you're gonna stack. I like Harris with Ellison and Harris with Sanofi. Yeah, Shaw and Spencer. I haven't really got a feeling out for them yet. I believe one of them is going to return kicks. It hasn't been announced yet. I'm thinking it's going to be Shaw, but we won't know until they, release the lineups, which it will be sometime tomorrow. They always release the lineup the day before the game, so that's like when we already know who's kicking, who's playing for Montreal, Saskatchewan, and we're not exactly sure with Ottawa and Calgary. On the other side, defensively speaking, because Calgary is so potent, I personally am not going to be touching Ottawa's defense, because Calgary is that potent. They're one of the top offenses in the league. So I personally am not going to be touching Ottawa's defense. At the running back situation for Ottawa, I thought it was going to be the guy that they cut over the weekend. Hold on. Let me see if I can find him. They cut him over the weekend. I really thought he was going to be a starter because he was a beast last year. Hold on. Let me switch games real quick. Shakir Bell was a beast last year for Edmonton. When White got hurt, Shakir Bell stepped in, and it was like White get hurt. So when he got signed in the offseason to Ottawa, it was like, what? So I like talking about William Howe. I'm not sure exactly she's the one of, regardless of who started.
Oh, he looked like a starter. He ain't even got no picture on DraftKings. That's that way under the table. He looked like he gonna be a beast. He ain't got no picture. I like him.
Yeah. So it's like I'm not touching either one of the running backs for Ottawa because of Calgary's defense.
Right.
However, I will be touching Calgary's defense. Once, as I mentioned before, that high over under don't scare me because everybody scores a lot of points. When picking your defense, you just want to make sure you don't get negative points. That's the biggest thing, because your defense can get negative points. I've had it happen. On the Calgary side of the ball, as I mentioned, Bo Levi Mitchell is your MOP, your most outstanding player, most valuable player, however spin you want to put at it, and his numbers back it up, his play back it up. Like Calgary to me should have won that thing last year.
And something I'm seeing here as I'm looking at the defenses is it looks to me like what you're saying earlier about this being such an offensive-driven league is true, because you look at the top salary defense is going to be the Stampeders and the Tiger Cats at 5K. The lowest are the Argonauts and the Rough Riders. Only $400 separate the top from the bottom. So that's just going to show you that all of these offenses are going to score. You just got to pick the defense that can, stop the bleeding, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Or in my case, attack the weakest team. And in this case, I'm using I'm using two main defenses: the Tiger Cats and the Alouettes. Those are the main two defenses I'm using because those are the two weakest teams right now on this particular slate. SSK and Toronto, in my opinion, are the two weakest teams. On the Calgary side of the ball, if you're going to stack Calgary, you got to have Bo Levi Mitchell. He's a beast. I like Meeson, which is their running back. Meeson is nice. He's heavily involved in the passing game. He led the league in rushing last year. He led the league in rushing touchdowns last year. He was one of only 2,000-yard rushers. He was second on the team in receptions. So Meeson is a good play if you want to pay up at running back. I personally don't like to pay up at running back. I like to pay down at running back and pay up at wide receiver. But that's just, game theory. We can talk about that in a little bit as well. But in reference to Calgary, if you're going to pair up Bo Levi Mitchell, you got to have Daniels. Without a doubt, Daniels is, okay, last year, he was a rookie. He was coming in. But once he got caught on fire, bro, he was on fire. They couldn't touch him.
And I think something a lot of us, need to realize in this is when you have younger players in the CFL, they're not playing to just play in the CFL. Like, these cats are trying to get to the next level. They're trying to get to the NFL. So when you got a young guy like DeVarsh Daniels, 992 yards, almost 1,000-yard season, 10 touchdowns.
As I mentioned earlier with Deron Carter, you got what it's like, or like even this offseason, they had young, they've been young again. You got, retreads in NFL where it's like, man, this is my last shot. This is all I got. If I don't make it here, I ain't gonna make it nowhere. So you got that level. And then you got the other level where it's like, all right, I couldn't make it in the league. Let me come over here to the CFL, show and prove, and maybe I get a call back, which also does happen sometimes. I got to mention this. The lineups, the rotation is high in the CFL. They will cut you in a minute. And like everybody we're talking about this week, somebody may get hurt. And we're talking about a whole different group of guys, or somebody may get called into the NFL and they be like, deuces, I'm holler at you. So watch out for the lineups the day before the game. That's how important that lineup is the day before the game. As I was mentioning with Calgary, I like Bo Levi Mitchell to go with Daniels. Also like Bo Levi Mitchell to go with McDaniel. McDaniel was the actual leader in Marquay McDaniel. Mm-hmm. Actually the leader, but he's priced $100 less, which I was like, I don't understand that. But someone explained to me they based it all off of last year. So if they're basing these pricing off of last year, I got so much value to give you. But we don't get to that after we go to the games. I got my value plays. I'm going to call them K-Sizzle's hot takes. That's what I'm going to call them.
Okay.
You can call them whatever you want to call them. But value plays, I give them at the end once we go through all the games. But anyway, with Calgary, I like Meeson, I like Bo Levi Mitchell, I like Daniels, and I like McDaniel. Those are the four guys I like on Calgary. And, of course, the Calgary defense. I like those. If you want the kick returner, I believe the kick returner is going to be Jordan. They haven't announced that yet. I believe it's going to be Jordan. He's at 5,700.
Right.
Kamar Jordan. If it's not Kamar Jordan, I'm not exactly sure who it could be. I like Anthony Parker. Anthony Parker won me money last year as the third wide receiver for Calgary. Calgary won me a lot of money. Calgary, Edmonton, BC, those guys won me money last year. And I'm going to keep... and Hamilton. I'm gonna keep riding with him till I can't no more. So those are the guys I like from Calgary. I told you about the guys who I like from Ottawa. I believe Calgary is going to win the game. They're the 4-point favorite in the 55.5 over under. The next game with the Edmonton Eskimos and the BC Lions. Oh man, like Edmonton is the highest scoring team in the league. They are very, 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 very potent last year. However, the big thing for me with Edmonton is that they lost one of their big time receivers, Darrell Walker. We was talking about him before we came on. Darrell Walker, first off, this is how CFL and NFL connect. All right. Darrell Walker played college ball with Mike Evans at Texas A&M. He didn't get drafted by the league. So he goes up to the CFL. Mike Evans go to Tampa Bay. Darrell Walker shows out in Edmonton. Shows out. He had like over 1,000 yards, and then he had like over 10 touchdowns last year. What that do? Tampa Bay gives him a call and be like, hey, come down to camp. Now, why did Tampa Bay give him a call? Because him and Mike Evans was cool at Texas A&M.
Right.
So Mike Evans was like, look, man, he's nice. Give him a call. He's putting up numbers in the CFL. We put up numbers together at Texas A&M. That's the CFL connection. So come NFL season, be on the lookout for Darrell Walker is all I'm saying.
Okay, all right, okay. Yeah, you're just dropping jewels in here. Yeah.
And for the Edmonton BC game, it's a 58-point over under as of right now with BC being a 4-point favorite. We can start with BC. They the home. Everybody is saying, and when I mean everybody, I mean from the players to the coaches to the analysts, is saying John Jennings is the next best thing. He is the next quote unquote great CFL quarterback. And I'm gonna have to agree with them. Like, this dude is nice. He runs the football, but he doesn't run it to get like first downs and to keep the chains moving. He scrambles to get people open. You know what I mean? Like in the NFL, you got the scramblers that get people open, and you got the ones that like, fuck, I'm trying to get the first down. Well,
he extends the play. He extends the play.
And that's why BC, in my opinion, has the best wide receiver core this season, hands down. No doubt about it. The main reason why is because in the offseason they brought in Chris Williams. Chris Williams, right now he's coming from ACL injury. He's recovering from ACL injury. I got to put that out there. Do not put him in your lineups because he's still recovering from ACL injury. But once he gets fully healthy, watch out. He's speedy. He's a deep threat. Like, that was a big time signing by BC by bringing him over. While he's down, the number one receiver last year is Arsenault. I might be pronouncing his name wrong. I don't know. I don't speak, but I know this guy. I think he played at college ball at LSU. Arsenault.
1,600 yards and 100.
Rainey at the running back, kick returner. Williams, Burnham. The defense, like, I really like BC. I really like BC. In my opinion, I hope it's Calgary and BC in the Grey Cup, but that's different story. For BC, if you're gonna stack BC, first off, you can't play everybody. You can't play everybody. DraftKings won't let you anyway. You have to split it between two games, just like always. If you stack BC as a team, I suggest Jennings with Arsenault and with Burnham, and then you alternate either running back, either Johnson or Rainey, one or the other. You can do both, but I would personally suggest you do one or the other.
And Chris Rainey is a guy that we are familiar with, man. And Chris Rainey should be in the league, bro.
He was in the league. Chris Rainey was in the league. He played for the Tampa Bay and he played for the Steelers. And for whatever reason, they didn't want him back. Neither team wanted him to come back. And so he goes up to Canada, and he's used in every aspect of the game. Punt return, kick return. He catch passes out the backfield, and he runs the ball. Last year, he had 2 kick return for touchdowns, 3 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns. So that right there alone is 7 touchdowns that he scored in different facets of the game, and he returns kicks So he's scoring points that way, and he gets running plays. He scores points that way. He catches the ball, so he gets points for the reception. Like Rainey to me is like your Darren Sproles type player, where he's all over the field. He's all over the field, but he plays the running back position. Last year he broke the slate week 1 last year. He broke the slate because he returned 2 kickoffs and caught 1. And he was like stupid cheap. I see him doing that again. I can see him doing that again against Edmonton. Edmonton, they're decent. They're middle pack defensively. But I can see Rainey really wrecking shop on them boys. I can see him wrecking shop on them boys. On the other side of the ball is the big. If you're gonna spend up at wide receiver, this is the guy you get in Bowman. Darius Bowman, in my opinion, best wide receiver in the CFL right now.
Bro, 1,800 yards, man. 11 touchdowns.
He led the league in receiving yards. He led the league in receptions. He led the league in
yards per game.
Targets. The only minus I have against him was his touchdowns. He only had 9. And the reason why I'm saying only 9 is because he could have had more. His partner in crime that we were just talking about went down to Tampa Bay, had 10. So somebody's going to have to pick up that production that Darrell Walker left. This is where you get your value. When I was talking earlier before about value, this is one of my hot takes. Now, it's a chalky hot take, but it's still my hot take. Your boy, Zylstra. He's 4.4. Let me scroll down to
Brandon Zylstra. 40 receptions, 621 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. To me, I believe he's going to be the first guy to step up to take that production away from Walker. I'm not the only one that says it. The head coach done said it. Everybody in the news media, Canada media done said it. Like, everybody's looking at this guy, but I got to bring my peoples on and let them know to put him on your radar as well. I believe he will be the first option to take up the production that Darrell Walker left. The second option on the same team, I believe, will be where is he? Vidal
Hazelton.
Yeah, Vidal Hazelton, 6,000. Vidal Hazelton last year was with Toronto, but he got hurt. But before he got hurt, he was leading that team in receptions and stuff like that. So one of those, in my opinion, one of those guys will take the replacement of Darrell Walker production-wise. If neither one of them step up, it's all Bowman. It's all Bowman. That is Mike Riley's security blanket, and without a doubt, he's working. So if I was to stack Edmonton, I would go Riley, Bowman, and Zylstra, or Riley, White, and Bowman. Now you saying, but Kay, you said don't pay up for running back. Yes, I still believe that. I still stand by that. But White, he's a beast too. Before he got hurt, he was leading the league in yards, and he was leading the league in receptions by a running back before he got hurt. Then he got hurt, and then that's when Shaquille Bell came in. Shaquille Bell almost took his spot. So then when he came back, they started splitting carries, and then it was just like, I ain't want to touch neither one of them. Well, this season is White's position all by himself. He ain't got to worry about splitting with nobody as long as he stay healthy. He's that involved into the passing game. So I like White to go with Bowman and with Riley. Overall, I think BC gonna win the game. They got the better defense. They got the better weapons. But that's who I like in this game. This is the highest scoring game of the week. So I would not be mad if you stack the game. I would also not be mad if you stack either team, because I'm with Vegas on this one. I think it's gonna go up over the 58 points that is saying. I think it's gonna go over that.
Wow. Now, jumping into the last game on the slate.
Hold up.
Ooh.
Exactly. Cap throwing this space.
Yeah, and see, a lot of what what Sizzle man is bringing to the table is straight game, man. He's dropping straight game on us, and when he gets back, I'm gonna ask him, about this flex position because we know that we got not only the running back, the wide receiver, quarterback, but we do have a flex spot here. And from what he's saying, it's kind of making me lean toward not even positioning a running back into the flex spot, but just going with another wide receiver. Now he's given us some form of value that we maybe we get into, and when he gets back, we're going to talk about that a little bit more in depth. But I am ready. I am so ready to get into the CFL season, man. And I think anybody that's in the sweatshop, you can definitely appreciate what the homie K Sizzle brings to the table, man. So go check him out, man. Make sure you follow him on Twitter, man. He's going to be tweeting nonstop, leading us into the NFL season by rocking with a lot of CFL. And it's funny because I'm starting to notice the few guys that I remember from their college days, and I think that's something that can definitely help us out as we continue on throughout the season. So this has been really great, man. I'm ready. I'm ready to hop into this next game, man. It's going to be dope.
I'm glad you brought up college because if anybody played DFS college when it was available, that's what CFL reminds me of, is that college game, DFS wise. In the next game with Hamilton, the over under for that is 54 points. Hamilton right now is a 3.5 point.
Mm-hmm.
Whitaker also led all running backs with 81 catches. So I believe that same game flow is still going to be with Toronto, and I believe Whitaker is going to be the focal point of this offense. That's the only recommendation I can have for Toronto. And the reason why I say that is because they have a brand new receiving core. As I mentioned earlier, two of their top receivers went to Ottawa in Spencer and Shaw. They were their top receivers last year. They're gone. So you're going to have tons and tons of value with the receivers from Toronto. One of the guys that they've been talking about is S.J. Green. I will pump my brakes just for a second with S.J. Green. I'm only saying him because he's been spoken about a lot. I got to see how Toronto plays before I recommend anybody other than Whitaker, including the quarterback.
And he's also got a questionable tag leading into the weekend too on DraftKings. So
yeah. So it's like, me personally, if I touch anybody from Toronto, it'll be Whitaker. Everybody else, I'm on a wait and see approach until. I'm on a wait and see approach. I got to see how that offense is looking with your new head coach and new pieces. It's too much new for me to recommend anything.
Right.
However, on the other side of the ball, oh man, Hamilton. Hamilton won me a lot of money last year. Hamilton won me so much money last year, and the main reason why was Brian Banks. That is my dude. Like, if I was to buy me a CFL jersey, I would buy me a Brian Banks jersey. That's how much I like him as a player. His nickname is Speedy. Think about that. The new nickname is Speedy. Like, he quick. He plays on both sides of the ball. He does a lot of kick return. Last year they had him at kick return and punt return. Once they start using him in the offense, I think he only does punt returns now. So he only does punt returns, and I started to use him in the offense. Last year, Hamilton was deep at wide receiver. They was deep. They had Chris Owens. They had Andy LaFleur. They had Tolliver. And they had the other guy that's still there. Oh, shoot. I can't think of his name now. Tasker. They had Tasker, Tolliver, Banks, LaFleur, and Owens. They was deep at wide receiver. Well, LaFleur, he got a front office job. He's still with Hamilton, but he in front office. And then the other guy, he left. So it's like Tasker and Tolliver, and then in my opinion, Banks should be the next one stepped in line. I got another value play. This is my other hot take coming up. Give me a second. I'm gonna get to it. So Banks is my dude. I'm riding with Banks. I like the quarterback here. As it stands right now, it's going to be Zach Colarose. I think I'm pronouncing it right.
Zach Colarose. Yeah, that's it.
Zach Colarose was nice when he was on the field. The thing about Zach Colarose, he is the opposite of Jennings. He don't run the ball. He don't scramble to get people loose or to extend the play. He goes, and I'm talking about he be acting like he a running back. He be trying to take on linebackers and shit. I'm like, dude, you a quarterback, man. Stop that. Hopefully he learned his lesson, but he's still gonna run the football. I like Zach. He's very talented. I like pairing Zach up with Tolliver. Terrence Tolliver reminds me of Terrell Owens in his attitude, meaning that no matter who's on me, nobody can guard me. I'm always open.
He's open.
I'm always open.
7'11".
You know what I mean? Like, that's who his Terrence Tolliver's attitude reminds me of that. I like players with that attitude. I'm riding with Terrence Tolliver. However, Tasker is actually the number one receiver on this team. So I believe he had more receptions than Tolliver, had more yardage than Tolliver. He didn't have more touchdowns. But I watched the preseason game. And when I watched the preseason game, I believe Zach believes in Tolliver. He was targeting him. He was throwing a rock to him on the seventh. Well, I play football. You know what a 7 route is. It goes up and comes back. Okay, but anyway, he was targeting him on the 7 routes, on the in route and on the out. So, Colaros, Tasker, and one game he caught 8 catches, like over 114 yards. Another one he had 4 catches for 33 yards. So, on the other side of the ball, hold on just a second here. Oh, I already mentioned Toronto. Defensively, I like Hamilton's defense. TSN, which is the equivalent to ESPN, but it's Canada version. They did their top 50 players. Of their top 50 players, about 4 or 5 of them came off this Hamilton Tiger defense. So I really like Hamilton too. And then, as I mentioned before, Toronto is going through a transition. So attack Toronto with Hamilton's defense, and then attack Saskatchewan with Montreal's defense. Those are my hot takes when it comes to defenses.
Well, man, hey, I really appreciate this rundown and breakdown, man, and I would love if you would come back on the show, man, and kind of chop it up with us for each week of the CFL season, man, as we roll into NFL, man. It's been enlightening. I'm so glad that you reached out, man, and we were able to connect and get this done, man. And everybody, I want you to go and hit up K Sizzle on Twitter, man. It's at KAYSIZZLE7. If you want to go to the Sizzler, I got you. You must go see this man. He's going to be tweeting out CFL stuff. And actually, something he told me that I should do, and we all should do, is when we have our Twitter accounts, go ahead and follow each team on Twitter, because we're going to get the lineups a day before the game plays. And that's really, really good. Nothing like what we have in NFL and MLB. So, very solid stuff, man. I am very glad that you came on the show, man. Thank you so much. Any last thing you want to tell us before you ride out? Any last thing you want us to know?
Let's see. Don't get too caught up in hype. Right now, there was one team we didn't cover, which is Winnipeg, the Blue Bombers. We'll cover them next week, mainly because it's on a bye week. So we'll cover them next week. Other than that, look for value, bro. Look for value. The value right now is at the wide receiver. I personally like playing either wide receivers or running backs at the flex position that also is involved in the kicking game. So players like Finch. Finch is a good one. He's involved. I didn't mention, but once again, I'm giving you some jewels. This is some more dropping gems. I'm dropping gems. So give me some Finch. Finch is nice. I talked about S.J. Green. If not S.J. Green, the next receiver for Toronto, I believe, might step up is Fuller. I think he played college ball. I forgot where he played college ball at. But anyway, follow me. I follow all the teams. They release all their lineups the day before. This is if you are only an NFL player, CFL is your offseason. We about to hit the gym. We about to do our calisthenics. We about to do all of that to get buff for the NFL season. That's what CFL is.
Wonderful, man. Well, hey, once again, I am your DFS Jerusalem. You can follow me, of course, on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. You've been chopping it up with me and the homie K Sizzle. If you want to go to the Sizzler, go and check him out at KAYSIZZLE7. That's over there on Twitter, man. Thank you so much for coming on. And again, man, if you want to keep it 300, the way to do that is to jump into the sweatshop. Go hit us up on the website at www.dfssweatshop.com. If you want to see Casey's report that he drops inside of the group, a little more in depth than tonight's video. But if you want to see that in writing, man, hit us up. Come get with us in the shop, and we can definitely turn you into a profitable CFL player. One more time, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show, bro. Peace, man. Y'all hold it down now.
Peace.
Peace.